हेलो और वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज हम सीखेंगे एक्सेल का पावर पिवट ऑप्शन जब आपके पास मल्टीपल एक्सेल टेबल्स होते हैं। लाइक वी आर शोइंग इन दिस एग्जांपल, we are having multiple tables. Like in sales tab sheet we have this one table, then in product tab sheet we have another table, then in customer table tab we have third table. So when we have multiple tables, then how do we connect them and then use them for showing the reports? We will learn here. That is Power Pivot with multiple Excel tables. So we will first start by converting all these tables in the to the Excel table. How do we do that? Select the entire table and select on Control T. Once you do this, this option comes. You just click on OK. Remember, this should be ticked my table as headers. I click on OK, and this table is created. Now, I want to name this table as sales table. So by clicking on any of the cells here, I go to table design, and under table name, I name this table name as sales table. Okay. Similarly, I do the same thing for the other tables as well quickly. I name the other table as the product table. And then the third one is the customer table. Select the entire, press on Control T, OK. And then I name this table as customer table. I go to table design, under table name, I name this as customer table. Now, first step is done. I have converted all these tables into Excel tables and have named them. Now we have to add these tables in the data model. When we have multiple tables, it's better to add all these tables in the data model. So before we add, let us see if you as of now see any data under the data model. Where do we find the data model? And go to the data and then data model, go to the data tab and then to the data model. Just click on data model, manage data model. If you see here, there is no data here, right? Even if you go to this is here, you're seeing the data view. Here in the data view, you are not seeing any data. And even if you go to the diagram view, you will not see any data here. Why? Because you have not added any data to the data model. So for adding the data to the data model, we have to click on this table and go to the insert. Click on this drop down menu, pivot table, and select from table range. Once you do this, you see the name of the table has come automatically, your sales table. And then because you want to work with multiple tables, you click on this, add this data to data model, and this pivot table will be created in the new worksheet. I click and press on OK. What will it do? It will add my tables to the data model, which is kind of cache memory, which stores all the tables at one location. And you can, if you want to work on multiple tables together, you can work by referring to the table from the data model instead of going to different sheets or different Excel files. You can just refer the data model where all the Excel tables are stored. After doing that, I press on OK and see my pivot table field has appeared. Now, once you have done this, you see there are two sections like active and all. So under active, you see only the sales table because you have selected, you have created being on the sales table. But once you go to all, you see all the tables which have been converted to the Excel tables. You can see all these tables, right? And also, if you go to the data model, from where you can go to data model under data to manage data model, you will see here your table added here in the data model because you had added the sales table. So your sales table data is here. Now, if you this is the data view, if you go to the diagram view, you can see your table here. Now, what we will do here is we will add the remaining tables as well in the data model. For that, you go to those tables and you select the table again. And one more method is to add to data model. So it is asking me which table, where is the data from the table which I want to add in the data table. So I want to add product data. I click on this and my data will be added here. So you see my product table has also been created in the data model. Similar process I do for my another table. I will add this table as well to my data model by going to add to data model. So this is another method how you can add your Excel table to data model. So if you see here, I have added my third table as well in the data model and I will save it. Now, once you open the data model, if you see the diagram view, all your three tables are here, right? And if you see broadly like all these three tables, you see some of the titles are common, like between sales table and product table, product ID is common. Between sales table and customer table, customer ID is common. But you don't see any relation formed here, right? So we will see how we create a relation. Let's see later on. So as of now, we will save it and close it. Now I'll go back to the pivot sheet. Now I'll go back to the pivot sheet and start creating my table, whatever analysis I want to do. Suppose what I want to do is I want to see the price in front of the product names. Okay. So I take my product name under rows. See, this is coming this way. And then if I want my price to come in front of these product names, I'll have to bring this file under the values. So I'll scroll this under the values and see my prices come here, right? My prices come here, but it is showing me, see, if you see there's some strange thing about these values. You see all these values are 5600. And here you see this error, relationships between tables may be needed. So we already saw that in the data model that those three tables were not connected to each other, right? So we have to connect them by clicking on this auto connect. Once you do this, it is showing one new relationship created. Let us see this. What is that relation? Manage relationship. You see, there is one relationship between sales table and product table in terms of product ID. This is already created. I'll just close it now. And now the values have changed. Okay. So that's how the relationship has been created between the sales table and the product table. And if you go to the data model, manage data model, you will see in the diagram view, see this arrow is created. So you see sales table and product table are connected via this column of product ID. All right. Let us move to the next one, customer table. Now we will link the sales table with the customer table. How? So we'll just copy paste this to here and we'll just change the values here. Like here from product name, we want to change it to something in the customer table. So I'll just remove this and suppose I want customer name and sales price. So I'll just move the customer name under rows and see for respective customer name, I have the sum of the price. But if you see one thing, again, it is showing same 5600, but that is not that's not looking correct, right? So if you see here, the pop-up here is relationship tables may be needed between the sales table and customer need table. हमें एक relationship जो है दोनों के बीच में वो form नहीं है, तो हमें form करना होगा. So for that we'll click on auto detect. Once you auto detect, it will automatically detect that relation. Let us see वो क्या relation था उन दोनों एक्सेल टेबल्स के बीच में. वो रिलेशन था कस्टमर आईडी का. सेल्स टेबल और कस्टमर टेबल के बीच में कस्टमर आईडी हमारी कॉमन है, तो वो कस्टमर आईडी का एक रिलेशन बन गया. हमने कहा ओके, आई जस्ट क्लोज इट. सो वंस आई डू दिस, सी द वैल्यूज हैव करेक्टेड for the respective customers. And if you see in the data model as well, going from data to data manager, manage data model, you will see this relationship is formed between the sales table and the customer table for the customer ID. So that is how beneficial this is. Now you have already formed. What next we can do here? Suppose we want to analyze something, like I want to find what is the total number of like total quantity. I know the quantity, but what is the total quantity? For that, like if you want to do some calculation, for that you can use the measure. Where is the measure here? Measure is under Power Pivot, measures. Click on new measures. And this, click on new measures and this pop-up will come. Here I want to write my measure name as count total. Okay, count total. And my formula will be sum. Okay, tab. What sum I want to do? I want to sum the quantity. Press tab, bracket close. This is the formula I've written. I'll just click on. Okay, once I do this, my calculation is done. Okay, जो आपने query यहाँ पे measure जो आपने create किया है, that measure you can see here. See, this is the total count you have calculated. And you can see that in the pivot table fields, which you cannot see if you had not added your data in the data model. Another interesting thing is that you cannot use the free item sets when you have loaded the data into the data model. That you can do only when you are working for a simple Excel table. Here, since I've loaded the data into the data model, I will have to do the calculations through measures. So another calculation I want to do is I want to calculate the price per count. And when I will do the calculation, that will also come here. It will be shown here. So let us try that again. We go to the Power Pivot. We go to measures, new measure. And here, what I want to do is I want to calculate the average. So average, and what kind of average I want to calculate? I'll just write average and it will come automatically. I want to calculate the average of price, right? I want to calculate. It is showing me all the list of variables which are there in my table. So this is the price. So this is the average I want to calculate, and close the bracket and press on OK. So my average is also calculated, and where is that average? Here. So whatever calculation I do, it will show me here in the pivot table fields. But you must have noticed when you don't load your data into the data model, whatever measures you do, they are not reflected here. Those measures are reflected in the data model, right? Those are not reflected in the pivot table fields. So this is the difference. But in this case, you cannot use the field item in sets. All right. Thank you so much for joining this session. If you have any doubt, please put your doubts in the comments. I will try to answer each and every query of yours. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a nice day ahead.